Hello everyone, I'm FC and this is CWANless TV, and today I'm bringing you guys the match review of our 3-0 win over Newcastle yesterday in the FA Cup. Before I get into the review, if you haven't pressed the bell notification button, please press that and stay notified to all things CWANless TV and become part of the notification squads. I wasn't able to bring out the match review yesterday because I actually was out and I wasn't at the house, so apologies for that. But getting straight into the review, and when it comes to the lineup, I was fairly close. I wasn't expecting Michy to play in this game because I thought he'd be going out on loan. Conte has publicly stated quite a few times that, he would let Michy leave. And also, I didn't realise that David Luiz would have picked up a slight knock, because I think that if David Luiz hadn't, he would have been playing in this game. So we played our standard 3-4-3 system, and I think it was the best system to use against Newcastle. And with Newcastle, they played as I expected and as I was talking about in previous videos. But Newcastle actually went for a 5-3-2 in this game, and it was doing them quite a lot of justice. We were finding it very difficult to break them down. They kept it very tight in the middle defensively. They were trying to force us out wide with the ball, but only they had support on either flank when it came to helping defend against Chelsea. And there were so many moments in this game where there was literally a massive island in the middle of the pitch, when there was no Chelsea player in the middle receiving the ball to do anything with it. Newcastle kept that very tight defensive structure, and Newcastle kept that same structure even when they were trying to create attacking situations as well. Their back five would move up, their strikers would try to receive the ball in the middle, and in a way, if you really think about it, they were playing a B-Tech version of how we play. And due to how well Newcastle were defending off the ball as a team, the game was quite boring and quite tepid. We were seeing the same old things that we normally struggle with. Hazard not really getting enough touches of the ball, very one-dimensional attacking build-up, the wing-backs not having much joy at all in this game. And this is why it's so important that we have to get the early goal when it comes to games like this, because when you get the early goal, it changes the whole dynamics of games, and then it creates more space for you to actually open up teams and actually damage them even further. And luckily that came before the first half went. Newcastle made a mistake in defence. One of their defenders pushed up too high for some reason to try and mark Pedro. I don't know what he was thinking. I know plan was, but then you've got to use some common sense in those situations. Don't push up 20-30 yards and leave your defence behind you. It was so silly. But again, they're the type of mistakes that these types of teams make all the time, and we capitalised on that moment. Pedro played a nice pass to Hazard. And even though I did tweet this, and some people were getting angry, it's typical social media. I think that Hazard easily could have created a goal scoring opportunity for himself, but I think he was looking more for the assist. That speaks volumes of the player. He's always thinking about his teammates, and this is why he's so liked and why he's so popular. But sometimes with Hazard, I feel that he can do the safe things too often. He's not really taking enough risks as much as he should be, in my personal opinion. And that was a goal that was needed for Michy. Now I'm going to talk about player performances just near the end of this video, so stay tuned for that, because you need to hear my thoughts on Michy, Alonso and Zappa. But as I was saying earlier, getting the first goal changed the whole dynamics of the game, because as the second half came, Newcastle then had to push up and they were leaving even more space in behind. Now, that mistake they made for the first goal, we were creating more opportunities of that nature due to them pushing up and one of their defenders making mistakes, or just not having enough men back to really help support them. Newcastle did press us high in the second half to their own detriment, but I've always felt the risk of trying to play a high pressing system is that if you don't have many good technical players on the pitch in front of you, they can't really make use of the possession that they're having. But anyway, we get the same goal from a very similar situation as to the first goal. A nice pass by Eden to Michy, and he gets a very nice deflection that goes towards his favour, goes in the back of the net. Could Michy have dinked it? Honestly, it doesn't really matter because, again, he hasn't been playing as much, so when you're not playing as much, your confidence won't be as high naturally, so you're not going to attempt some of the audacious types of goals. But once we scored the second goal, the game was effectively over. It was the icing on the cake when Alonso scored from a free kick, and with how the ball was set up in the position where the free kick was being taken, I just saw the goal was going to be happening. I just saw that Alonso was going to score from that. And he's having this Willian-esque season where every free kick he's taking is going in the back of the net. Let's hope that against Barcelona, we get a few free kick opportunities. I'm looking at the game, I'm seeing it's 3-0, and I've just been waiting for youth players to get a chance to actually play in this game. Now I'm looking on the bench, I'm looking at the players taking their run-ups, jogging to warm up. I'm not seeing too many youngsters warming up. I see Conte recall Barkley. Of course, he was going to play some part in this game. And then later on, a few minutes after that, I see him of course he's going to go for a But he did something different, and Pardew comes on to replace Kante, and then for the last 11-10 minutes, Hudson Odoi comes on to make his Stamford Bridge debut at 17 years old. And immediately you could just see his class and the qualities he has. I mean, this guy's a very complete footballer. A lot of the attacking players we actually create are very complete for their age. He came on immediately, skipped past someone and sprayed a nice cross-field pass to the right-hand side. He did that 3 times in the game yesterday. And just looking at his physique, if you're a guy that's never seen Chelsea play before, you would never have guessed that he was the youth player making his debut today. So if anyone says anything about not having the physicality, please, I really don't think that excuse is going to work in context with what happens. Now, you know, with me, I don't really tend to patronise a lot of our youth players because I see them at such a very high level already. But I think what I'm going to say now is going to link to the next part of the match review, and that's going to be some of the player ratings. But just a few of the players. I think with Rudiger, I don't think it was his best game yesterday. Too often, not in line with the defence, not winning his 50-50 tackles. Too many times he was getting spun by Newcastle players too. And he was giving away some sloppy use of the ball as well. Now, a lot of you guys know my opinion. I personally feel that Zuma is a better defender than Rudiger and a better player. You know, he is 2-3 years younger than him as well. I didn't really understand the point of the signing. You might be thinking, why Rudiger's an international, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just thinking in the long term that if we had saved that 30 million, that could have been used to maybe bring in someone like Amaris, for example. You know, someone that would actually upgrade the team. But with Rudiger, I think he's been very standard so far this season. I guess the only reason why Conte really likes him is that he's able to play on the left-hand side and the right-hand side at ease. But does that make him worth 30 million? I'm not quite too sure. Now, Marcos Alonso is another guy I want to touch on. Now, last 10 minutes of the game when Hudson Odoi came on, maybe it's because I was hoping Hudson would get a lot of touches of the ball. I'm really excited whenever he's received the ball. And I think this is why I noticed Marcos Alonso even more, especially in the last 10 minutes, because the amount of times he gave possession of the ball away in that last 10 minutes was criminal in my opinion. There was one period in his own half where the ball went out of play 2 times and he still didn't find anyone during that 1 minute spell. If Hudson Odoi was making runs in the right positions, Alonso wasn't finding him. And there was one moment in particular where Hudson Odoi played a very simple 1-2 opportunity with Alonso. Every fullback, wingback knows you have to, when you release the pass, time to make that run. Newcastle created the opening. Now Hudson Odoi for the youth team, you'd have Castillo making those runs, his standards. Alonso wasn't doing that. Just also throughout the game, before that 10-minute spell, too many times, stop use of possession on the ball, didn't really affect anything as much. But of course, so often with football in general, when players score goals, especially if they're spectacular in this country, performances get overlooked and people forget about the context of a performance over 90 minutes. Too many times people care about that one particular moment within that 90 minutes, but they miss the bigger picture entirely. And I didn't think that Alonso had a great performance yesterday, in my personal opinion. Another one was Michy Batshuayi, and I was very happy he scored 2 goals. And I make this point time and time again, and I really hope people actually remember that I make these points. Michy to me is a guy that plays in the last line of the defence. He's not supposed to link up with the play because he's got very good movement. He's amazing inside the 18-yard box. Yesterday, when he nearly scored his hat-trick yesterday, that skill came from nowhere. It's like he becomes a different player because instinctually his abilities are tailor-made for playing more as a poacher. Now, I've always said that Conte could have made Michy's life way easier. Instead of telling Michy to adapt to how he wants him to play, adapt the team for whenever Michy is playing. Because we can easily do that, because it's no surprise why he scores goals through the minimum amount of game time he gets. Those goals he scored yesterday was classic Michy, playing on the last line, and he can finish. He's got a left foot, right foot, he's got a header as well, and he can shoot from distance. And in my personal opinion, I really don't agree with how Conte has used Michy. It's been obvious that he's never wanted Michy since he came to the club. And we know that Conte is someone that will never really adapt or change his system. And anyway, I think it's another disgrace as well, because Conte has publicly stated in press conferences already that Michy will leave if a replacement comes. Yet he's been forced to have to rely on him, and Michy has scored. And now he's come out afterwards stating that, well, if we had to keep 3 strikers, it would be good for the team. I mean, if I was Michy, I'd definitely make sure I get a loan move. With Aubameyang going to Arsenal, Dortmund potentially wanting Michy to come to replace him, that would be the best club for him to play to his strengths, because that's how Dortmund like to use their strikers. So I think that would be the best, smartest move for Michy to do. Hedgerow was another guy. Yes, he made those nice assists, but to be honest, I think for a player of his ability, they're very standard assists to make. You know, he was unmarked, unopposed, Hazard was making space, the defender wasn't even tight to him. That's a standard pass to make. But just in general, his overall contribution to the game just really isn't there. Now, I guess the only reason why Masunda was on the bench was because he's gone to Celtic. I'm going to be talking about that later today in a video. And Conte's thinking that maybe Barkley isn't ready to start a full 90 minutes just yet. So Pedro really was the only option to use on the right hand side. Still, it's made me realise that no one really cares about the context of performances over 90 minutes. It's all about if they did 1 or 2 good things within that spell, but you really shouldn't be judging a standard of performance on that type of metric. And of course, Hudson Odoi, very proud to see him come on. He looked easily composed. I'm really hoping that Conte isn't going to do a Masunda where he'll use him for 10 minutes and then he won't use him again till the end of the season. Conte was actually at the game where Chelsea did beat Oxford 3-0, so there's no way in hell that Conte could have seen that performance and not thought, okay, Hudson Odoi can't play with this team, because against Oxford it was easy for him. He didn't even play his best game, but you could already tell that he was a level above that. So let's just hope that Conte is going to use Hudson Odoi more often. But anyway, you guys, that's going to bring an end to today's match review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. In the end, it was a fairly standard win. Newcastle folded under pressure in decisive moments, and again that changed the whole dynamics of the game to our favour. Anyway, I've got a ton of videos coming up in the next 3 days, so definitely stay tuned for that. Anyway, you guys, thank you for watching. I'm Nini FC. This is CWANless TV. Signing out.